Hello, my name is Pat and I am a mother and a grandmother and a great-grandmother, and so you probably don't need to be a maths whiz to work out kind of what age bracket I fit into, and I'm not going to tell you the rest. I am still working and I work for some local lawyers in town. My first awareness of trans people came about actually as part of some volunteer training that I did many years ago at the AIDS Action Council, where I was training to be a volunteer. So prior to that I was aware of the word, but I guess I didn't really have a knowledge of what that meant. But as my training progressed, I understood that this was not simply a lifestyle that people had chosen because they wanted to be different. When my trans friend told me about herself, I had actually met her previously and had formed a friendship and a liking for each other, coming from who we are and where we were. But then when I began to be taken into her confidence and told about her story, I firstly was fascinated, then I was in awe of what she'd gone through and felt a little heartsick over some of the things that she'd had to face. But it was, to me, no big deal by that time because we had a friendship already. No, I did not feel the need to process anything. Like we had already formed a friendship at that stage, and in addition to that, as part of the training that I was going through at the AIDS Action Council, I had learned the differences between people, differences between me and other people, and we had learned as part of our training to embrace those differences and appreciate the differences, and that's where I was at. I never had a problem with accepting or not accepting. No, I didn't. I actually didn't feel the need to, because I felt comfortable enough to, if I had questions, to ask my trans friend and trust that I'd be given the information that I needed. But I did not feel that I was missing out on any information anyway from my previous experiences with her. I believe that more information needed to be available to mainstream society without having to necessarily go searching. And another area that I think would probably help is to include trans people in education, is to invite them to appear, to be part of panels in training of other people and groups. I do think that more information needs to be readily available without people searching for it. But I believe too that for this to work, you need more. You need to be more open-minded in this respect. In that there are differences. We're different out there. We're not all the same as us, and you need to be open to, if you need more information, to go and ask about it rather than get misinformation from people who maybe don't know what they're talking about. Interesting question. So as my dating days are probably gone about at least 15 years ago, I've got to use a bit of imagination here, but I would like to think that at this stage in my life I would be attracted to a person for who they are, for what they are, rather than where they've come from, and that my interest in, if I was to date again, would be whether or not we've got common interests, whether that other person has a sense of humour and has interests similar to mine. So I don't think I'd be asking anything about where they've come from to where they are today. I guess it's easy to give an answer that you think other people might want to hear. And years ago, when my daughter came out to me, I actually reacted quite badly in the beginning until I received a bit of education. And I would like to think that these days I would be open-minded enough and accepting and loving enough to accept where they're at and to move on with them. At this stage of my life, I've been through all sorts of experiences with my children, and my first response to that is, hell, what's one more? I do like to, from personal experiences, my daughter was in a relationship with another person for 6.5 years or so, and I love that person, and they became part of my family. And I found out recently that that person is in the first stages of considering transition. That doesn't change how I feel about that person, and that I still consider that person to be still part of my family. So I'm hoping that I would react favourably and be supportive and loving. Well, this has actually happened to me, and I get angry and I get defensive, which I realise by hindsight is not probably the best thing to do. But then I actually what I've done is to try and start up some kind of a discussion in a calm way, to pass on from my own personal experiences the knowledge that I have about these wonderful people. People are people are people, and I relate to people the way they relate to me. I try to be polite and respectful and generally get that back from people, and I hope that I don't treat trans people any differently to the way I treat other people who I meet along my life's travels. They've taught me that they never give up, to never give up. They've taught me how strong they are and how strong they have to be. And surprisingly, despite the struggles that they've had to face and the turmoil that they've been through in their lives, they sail through life in a calm, accepting way, and demonstrate to me acceptance of me, and taught me to be accepting of whoever I meet on the terms of however we meet. I hope that I've taught my trans friends that not all people from my generation are judgmental and are subject to ridiculing people who might be a little different from them. I hope that I've taught my trans friends that I am comfortable enough to go out socially with them, that we can go to dinner and relax and have a nice time without there being any judgments on my part, that I can treat them with politeness and respect, and in turn I get their respect and politeness back. And I love my trans friends. Simple as that.